What's up, Astro fam? I'm going to be talking about Pluto and Scorpio in the 8th house. This is my placement, and I've already made this video a couple of times, so I will try to have the same level of charisma when I'm talking about it. Things kept happening and the video would stop. So this is a really natural placement for Pluto and Scorpio. It's the most natural place it could be. The 8th house is typically ruled by Scorpio, and Pluto also rules Scorpio. So this is a really grounded place for it, and it is very balanced. This energy is going to come forward in a really positive way that hopefully isn't very conflicting in your life. Where it could be for other people, like let's say you had Pluto in the 1st or the 4th, that could give you a lot more struggle in terms of the Scorpio Pluto energy. So it's very subtle. What I've come to understand about myself is it's mostly subconscious, and it stays there. It's not like if you got your Pluto Scorpio in any of kind of the first 6 houses where it's more available and open and outgoing, which could cause problems, but it's more at the forefront is what I'm trying to say, and it's more of a conscious awareness and an identity thing. But when it's in the 8th house, you're really kind of unaware of it for the most part, and it doesn't necessarily need to be tapped into because it's operating perfectly fine and healthy in its natural home. It's just you don't need to really connect with it for it to happen in the first place or to really deal with it. Though obviously if you consciously tap into it, you can gain much more from it. But being subconscious and everything in the 8th house, basically what it's doing is it's allowing you to have an incredible access to all of the resources that you need at any given moment. And it makes you really good at manifesting things like finances and opportunities and just physical things that you need. Like if your car gets towed, you might ask the universe for help, and then the next day you'll get a client, or your family will have sent you a check in the mail, or maybe you only have a few days left until you get your next paycheck, but you're really hungry and broke, and your friend invites you out to dinner, their treat. Basically, when you need stuff, it will happen for you, and other people will provide it for you. So this placement's really good from business aspects in terms of like gathering a support system, because the 8th house rules other people's resources. So when you have Pluto and Scorpio there, you kind of have access to what everyone else has. You just need to convince them that you're worth it and that you're powerful, and that if they invest in you, that they will become stronger for it. That's something that's really important for this sign. And also in terms of a more businessy level, they would make really good managers, because what they're also able to do is, yes, take all these resources from other people, but combine them together and like make like a melting pot from it and birth a really transformative, even more incredible version of all the individual pieces. So if you were working on creating a business, for example, and you got 3 of your friends or associates or investors, what have you, to get together on the project, if you have Pluto and Scorpio in the 8th house, you would be really good at capitalizing on everyone's personal strengths and highlighting that to further the effort of the entire group and to gain benefit of yourself, of course. But like, you're really good at leading people in a very subtle way in terms of kind of like energetic management and where resources are being spent and where time is being spent and that kind of a thing. Ironically, this is one of the least emotional places, I feel like, for Scorpio. Like the 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, and I feel like it really highlights the more calculated, hidden, analytical, cold parts of it rather than like the intensity and the emotional aspects. Those are still there. I just feel like the other things are focused on a little bit more when that happens, and Scorpio becomes a little bit more intense and mean when it's kind of thrown out of where it's supposed to be and it's struggling to get back to that center point. But when you have this, so like a lot of that stuff is really tempered out. It's very balanced, and it should be opposing Taurus in your second, which is also a natural placement. And so in terms of like power struggles and stuff like that, it should be managed for the most part, except Pluto and Scorpio, wherever it's going to be, is going to, I mean, have issues with authority. Maybe less so in your 8th house because you view it as more of like a collaborative process, and it's not as competitive necessarily. That's more of like Aries and Mars with the Scorpio energy. But you're confident for the most part in where you stand because it's in the 8th house and you're comfortable in your power. But what I will say is that it's very hidden away and it's very private. It's not like having Pluto again in the first 6 houses of yours where it might be a really intense experience and it's kind of out there for everyone to see. When it's in your 8th house, you could be the most intelligent, like resourceful, have the most potential to change the world, etc. But no one would really know that about you unless they engage with you on a more intimate level or on a professional level, or they're supporting you in some kind of way financially, they're a part of your business, etc. Those people are really going to understand how much power that you do have, because it's not something that you just throw out there. You kind of like it to be a surprise. You like people to be somewhat unaware of your full motives and intentions so that you can surprise them. And it's not something you really need validation from. Like, again, I said, this placement is very confident because it's such a balanced place for it to be. It's almost really detached in a sense. Like, it's kind of perfect and it's just doing its own thing. This happens a lot when planets are where they're supposed to be, but a lot of times it can get really exaggerated. And I feel like in this case, it's more subtle and gentle, which are words that you don't usually use for Pluto or Scorpio. But it just really is a cohesive placement going on right here. And you might not be aware of your full abilities to transform and heal and dig into these esoteric occult areas. Like, you've got an incredible ability to observe and gain knowledge. And to me, Pluto and Scorpio, like, Scorpio is an observer and Pluto is mystery, and you're constantly trying to figure out why you exist, but in a way you already know. And it's that juxtaposition that really gives a lot of meaning to life and the universe in the first place, to just keep questioning things and keep trying to figure it out. And it's a really beautiful process. So I don't know. The 8th house is a bit hard to talk about in general because I feel like it is so hidden and submersive and private, and it has a very specific tiny little range of what it represents. So I hope that I've covered a good amount of information. People seem really interested in these Pluto videos or anything that has to do with Scorpio. If you look, any of my videos that mention Scorpio have way more views than anything else. So I don't know if that's because Jupiter's in Scorpio right now, but I think it's pretty funny. So I might end up getting through Pluto, Scorpio, and all the houses or something like that. But yeah, I think I have about 9 other requests, so bear with me as I get through those. But I really like it because it gives me topics to talk about. Otherwise, I'm kind of just floating in the wind. But yeah, if you guys want to check out my forecast, I know I talk about it a lot. I feel like it's really important for me to get a community going from there, and I'm going to keep doing them. I'm going to keep doing them for the next year. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm improving every month. They're a bit wordy and very, very detailed right now, so I'm trying to make it a little bit more accessible to people that maybe don't know as much about astrology, but either way, I think it's a pretty good educational tool. So If you have a request video, feel free to leave it, but it might be a while before I get to it. And if you have any questions or you want any advice on anything, I love giving advice. A lot of people, you know, get annoyed by that. But I feel like in this context, it's helpful. And if you have this placement, I would love to hear what you have to say. Like I said, this is mine, and I don't really understand it very well, maybe because it's so subconscious, but love to hear what you guys have to say. All right, peace.